This is for the connection that was never supposed to get this deep. This is for the person you tried to release, tried to rationalize, tried to convince yourself was only chemistry, only timing, only temptation. But something inside you still knows there is unfinished truth here. And with the Two of Cups reversed, okay, this is not me saying the connection is gone. This is showing me two people who still feel the bond, but are standing on opposite sides of it, pretending they do not. That is the strange part, because what you think is happening is silence, distance, maybe rejection. Maybe you feel like this person chose fear, convenience, another situation, another person, or their own pride over being honest with you. But what is actually happening beneath the surface is emotional repression. This person has been trying to turn the cup upside down. They have been trying not to drink from what they feel. They have been trying not to look directly at the emotional exchange between you two, because the moment they do, they have to admit something dangerous. They have to admit this was not casual. They have to admit you affected them. And I'm seeing you over here questioning yourself like, why am I still feeling this? Why do I still sense them? Why does it feel like they are close even when they are not speaking? Because symbolically, the Two of Cups reversed is still two cups. The connection is still there. It is just blocked, distorted, hidden, delayed, or emotionally mishandled. Wait, this is important. This card feels like two people who mirrored each other so intensely that one of them panicked. Someone felt seen in a way they were not prepared for. And instead of opening up, they pulled back. Instead of confessing, they suppressed. Instead of choosing clarity, they created confusion. So right now, the viewer's perspective is they do not care. But the deeper psychological symbolism is they care too much. And that is exactly why they have been acting like they do not. And we are going to keep pulling on that because this first card is already saying the confession begins where the denial breaks. And the denial is breaking in the quietest way first, not with some huge message, not with some dramatic return, not with them suddenly becoming the person you wish they had been from the beginning. It starts internally. It starts with this person realizing that every time they tried to call this connection nothing, their body remembered it as something. Every time they tried to dismiss you, something in them kept circling back. Every time they tried to pour the feeling out, the cup did not empty. That is the Two of Cups reversed. It is not an absence of emotion. It is emotion being held upside down. It is love, attraction, recognition, tenderness, vulnerability, all trapped in a position where it cannot flow naturally. And you may have looked at their silence and thought, okay, they must not feel it the way I do. But I need you to understand something. Some people do not go silent because they feel nothing. Some people go silent because the exchange became too real. Because with you, this person was not just dealing with desire. They were dealing with reflection. You mirrored something back to them that they have spent a long time avoiding. Their emotional patterns, their fear of intimacy. Their instinct to run when something asks them to be honest, their habit of choosing control over vulnerability. And when the Two of Cups is reversed, the fear is not just, what if I love this person? The fear is, what if this person can see me? That is where this got dangerous for them. because you did not just touch their heart. You touched the part of them that has been pretending they are fine without being fully known. So yes, they may have acted cold. They may have pulled their energy back. They may have made you feel like you imagined the intensity. But what I am seeing here is emotional shutdown, not emotional emptiness. They withheld because they were overwhelmed. They blocked the exchange because mutual recognition requires responsibility. And this is why the next energy matters, because it is going to show us exactly what they became afraid would happen if they finally stopped pretending and told you the truth. Because the truth would have cut through the entire story they were using to keep themselves safe. And with the Queen of Swords reversed, showing up here, wait, this is important. This is someone who did not just repress a feeling. They tried to argue with it. They tried to intellectualize it. They tried to place the connection into some smaller category so they would not have to deal with the size of what it actually awakened in them. They may have told themselves, this is just attraction, or this is bad timing, or this is fantasy, or this is inconvenient, or I cannot let myself go there. But beneath the surface, the real trigger was that you made something very quiet inside them suddenly become loud. You exposed a loneliness they had learned to normalize. You exposed an emotional hunger they were trying to pretend was not there. You exposed the difference between being wanted and being understood. And that is where this person started to panic. Because the Queen of Swords reversed can be someone whose mind becomes a weapon against their own heart. Instead of saying, I feel this, they start analyzing why they should not. Instead of speaking honestly, they become guarded, sharp, distant, or silent. Not because the truth is unclear, but because the truth is too clear. And I feel like there was a moment, maybe one conversation, one look, one exchange, one emotional moment between you two where this person realized, this person sees something in me that I do not know how to hide. That was the trigger. Not you doing too much, not you imagining too much, not you being too intense. It was the mirror. It was the fact that being close to you made them aware of what they were missing in their life, what they were tolerating, what they were denying, what they were starving for emotionally. And what they are not saying is this connection forced them into a choice before they were ready to admit there even was a choice. So they turned the sword inward. They cut off the conversation. They cut off the vulnerability. They cut off the emotional flow, but they did not cut off the feeling. And that is why this confession has been building for longer than you know, because while they have been acting like they do not care, the next energy is going to show us exactly what they have been doing behind the scenes. And what they have been doing behind the scenes is not as simple as ignoring you. That is the part I want you to really sit with. Because with the Three of Pentacles reversed here, we are seeing something that does not look cooperative on the outside. No effort, no teamwork, no building, no clear conversation, no two people coming together and saying, okay, what is this? On the outside, nothing. But underneath, everything is moving. This person may have been checking the emotional temperature without stepping into the room, watching from a distance, looking for signs, replaying what you said, replaying what they did not say, comparing the way other people feel around them to the way you made them feel, and realizing there is a difference. they cannot fully explain away. And again, I am not saying this in a literal, invasive way. Symbolically, this is someone whose attention has not left the connection, even if their body has. Their pride may be standing still, but their mind keeps returning. Their fear may be keeping them quiet, but their emotions keep trying to create movement. The Three of Pentacles reversed is also showing me a person who did not know how to build this with you in a real way. Maybe there was an outside situation. Maybe there was pride. Maybe there were other people's opinions. Maybe there was a life structure that made honesty feel complicated. Maybe they simply did not have the emotional maturity to meet you at the level this connection required. So what did they do? They performed detachment. They acted like they were fine. They acted like the silence was a decision, but the silence has been loud. It has been full of almosts, almost reaching out, almost explaining, almost asking if you still feel it too. And here is the surprising part. This person may have been waiting for you to confirm the bond first, even though they are the one who pulled away. That is the contradiction. They created distance, then watched to see if you would cross it. They withheld, then wondered if you still cared. They stayed silent, then looked for proof that the connection had not disappeared. And the next card is going to show us the real obstacle they have been hiding behind, because this is not just fear. There is something specific they have not wanted you to see. And what they have not wanted you to see is that this obstacle is not as simple as there is someone else, or the timing is wrong, or they are just confused. No. With the Five of Cups reversed here, this is grief they have been trying to climb out of without admitting they are grieving. This is someone who has been holding on to a version of themselves, a version of their life, a version of control, and your connection threatened that structure because it made them feel what they had been avoiding. Wait, this is important. The obstacle is not only external, it is layered. It is pride. It is consequence. It is reputation. It is the fear of looking foolish after acting so detached. It is the fear of admitting, I walked away from something that actually mattered. And for some of them, yes, there may be responsibilities. There may be a situation, a lifestyle, a role they have committed to, a certain image they have been maintaining. But even that is not the deepest issue. The deepest issue is that admitting the truth to you would force them to stop lying to themselves. That is why this connection feels forbidden. Not necessarily because it is scandalous, but because it is forbidden to the false self. It is forbidden to the part of them that says, I am fine. Forbidden to the part of them that says, I do not need this. Forbidden to the part of them that says, I can keep everything controlled and nothing has to change. But the Five of Cups reversed is showing that the repression is starting to crack because the sadness is turning into realization. They are not just afraid of losing you. They are afraid of who they become if they admit you were right there, holding a cup they refuse to turn around and see. And that is why you have felt the contradiction. You are not crazy for sensing two different things at once. Cold behavior, warm undercurrent, distance, but still attachment, silence, but still emotional noise. This person has been hiding behind logic because emotion would make them accountable. They have been hiding behind responsibility because desire would make them honest. But the next energy is where repression starts to fail. because something inside them cannot keep pretending this loss does not hurt. And with the Four of Swords here, you can see it. This is the card of someone trying to stay still while their mind will not stop moving. This is rest, but it does not feel peaceful. This is silence, but it is not empty. This is someone lying there, trying to recover, trying to detach, trying to convince themselves, if I just do nothing, this feeling will pass. But wait, it did not pass. They thought distance would make it smaller, but distance made it louder. They thought not speaking would give them control, but not speaking gave the feeling more room to echo. They thought if they stepped back from you, they could return to the version of themselves they were before this connection. Calm, composed, untouched, unbothered. But something has changed. And I feel like your absence is becoming sharper than they expected. Not just missing you in a sweet way. This is more uncomfortable than that. This is being triggered by random things. A song, a place, a phrase you used to say. The kind of moment where they are doing something ordinary and suddenly the memory of you cuts through the room. That is the Four of Swords. It is the mind trying to heal around a truth it has not spoken. And for some of you, your silence is doing something here. Your growth is doing something here. Your emotional withdrawal is doing something here. Because when you were available, they could hide behind delay. But when you stopped reaching, stopped proving, stopped trying to pull the truth out of them, now they are left alone with what they refuse to say. And that is where repression starts to fail. It may not begin as a grand confession. It may not begin with them pouring everything out at once. It may begin as a small crack, a message that seems casual, a question they did not need to ask, an excuse to check on you, a sudden emotional opening where their voice feels different, where their energy feels less controlled, where something slips through the wall they built. Because this person is realizing that control did not protect them from the truth. It only delayed the moment they would have to face it. And the next energy is going to show us what they are most afraid you already know. And what they are most afraid you already know is that they were never as unaffected as they pretended to be. That is the Two of Swords right here. The blindfold, the crossed blades, the guarded heart. This is someone sitting in the middle of a truth they do not want to look at directly. Because if they look at it, they have to choose. If they choose, they have to act. If they act, they have to risk being exposed. And wait, this is important. This person is not only afraid of what they feel, they are afraid that you can see it. They are afraid you know they cared. They are afraid you know they ran. They are afraid you know their silence was not honest. They are afraid you can feel the difference between someone who has moved on and someone who is trying to hide inside their own restraint. That is why the mask has mattered so much. Cold, unavailable, casual, busy, unbothered. Like if they could make the outside look controlled enough, maybe you would stop sensing the storm underneath, but you did not. And that is what makes this connection so emotionally dangerous for them. Because with you, the performance does not fully work. They can look away, but the mirror is still there. They can cover their eyes, but the recognition is still there. They can cross those swords over their chest, but the feeling is still pressing from behind the defense. And the forbidden part of this connection is not just the relationship, it is the honesty. It is the level of emotional nakedness it demands. It is the way this bond says, you cannot keep pretending you do not feel what you feel. And I feel like this person has been caught between wanting to confess and fearing what your face will show when they do. Fearing you will already know. Fearing you will say, I knew. Fearing you will not be as available as you once were. Because now the confession is not only about emotion, it is about accountability. And the next energy is going to show us what that confession actually sounds like emotionally, even if the words come out imperfect, guarded, or late. And with sunrise reversed here, that makes so much sense. Because this is not the full light coming in all at once. This is not them stepping forward with perfect clarity, perfect courage, perfect words, saying everything exactly the way you imagined they would say it. No. This is the light trying to break through, but something is still upside down. This confession may come through the side door. It may sound like, I have been thinking about you. Or, I know I handled things badly. Or, do you ever think about what happened between us? Or even something casual that does not seem big at first, but the timing feels too loaded, the tone feels too nervous, the energy feels too different for it to be nothing. Wait, listen to that part. Because you are going to have to hear what is underneath the words, not just what they say, how they say it, what they avoid saying, where their voice tightens, where they pause, where they try to make it sound smaller than it is. Because sunrise reversed is showing me truth approaching, but not fully comfortable being seen yet. It is the first light before someone is ready to stand in it. So they may test the waters, they may apologize, but indirectly. They may bring up the past, but disguise it as curiosity. They may ask about you, but what they are really asking is there still a place for me in your emotional world? And this is where that Two of Cups reversed starts trying to turn upright again. The blocked exchange begins to move. The cup that was upside down begins to tremble. The denial loses its structure. But I need to say this clearly. The confession is not only going to carry love or desire, it is going to carry guilt, regret, fear, the realization that they mishandled something that was not ordinary, something they should not have treated like it was disposable. And that is why it may come out messy, guarded, imperfect, late. Because they are not just confessing what they feel, they are confessing that they knew more than they admitted. And the next energy is important because it is going to show your power in this situation and why you should not chase the confession out of them. Because your power here is not in pulling the boat back to shore. It is in letting the crossing happen without throwing yourself into the water to prove there is still something there. And with the Six of Swords here, this is you moving out of emotional chaos, even if part of you is still looking back. This is the energy of, I can feel the connection, but I cannot live inside confusion forever. That is important because you may have been the more conscious one in this connection. You may have been the one who felt the bond clearly while this person distorted it. You may have been the one trying to name what was happening while they kept hiding behind silence, logic, timing, pride, fear. But now your role is different. You do not need to chase. You do not need to beg. You do not need to decode every small movement like your peace depends on their confession. You do not need to shrink yourself into something easier for them to admit they want. Because if this truth is coming forward, it is not because you forced it. It is because denial has consequences. Repression has consequences. Pretending not to care has consequences. And the energetic consequence of truth is that eventually what is buried starts asking to be spoken. So when this person opens up, watch, not from fear, from self-respect. Watch if they bring clarity, not just emotion. Watch if they bring accountability, not just longing. Watch if they can say, I handled this badly, instead of only saying, I missed you. Because missing you is not the same as being ready to meet you correctly. And I know that may hit something. Because part of you may still want the confession so badly that you would accept the smallest crack and call it the whole doorway. But the Six of Swords is saying, no, you have already moved too far inwardly to abandon yourself at the first sign of their return. You can be open without being available to confusion. You can care without carrying the entire emotional weight. You can hear them without chasing the words out of their mouth. And that is why the final energy matters, because now we are going to see what this confession means for the connection and what truth is finally ready to come out. And with the lovers here, this is the truth they were trying not to name. Not just attraction, not just chemistry, not just I miss you. This is the card that says the connection forced a choice because the connection touched something real. And that is why the confession is going to carry more weight than a simple apology. It is not only, I thought about you. It is, I thought I could bury this and I could not. It is not only, I cared. It is, I cared more than I allowed myself to show. It is not only, I was scared. It is, you changed something in me and I did not know what to do with that. Wait, this is important. The lovers is not just romance here. It is recognition. It is the moment where someone has to stand in front of their own truth and stop calling it something smaller. This person may finally admit, directly or indirectly, that the connection affected their choices, their peace, their sense of self, their ability to keep pretending that their old life, old patterns, old emotional defenses were enough. Because that is what they repressed. Not just you. They repressed what you awakened. They repressed the version of themselves that came alive in your presence. The version that felt seen. The version that wanted to be honest. The version that knew there was a bond, even when the cups were upside down. So we are coming back to that Two of Cups reversed. Two people still bonded, two cups still there, but the exchange blocked, the emotion mishandled, the truth delayed, the connection distorted by fear, pride, silence, and denial, but not erased. And the confession is where denial breaks. Now, does that mean everything becomes perfect overnight? No, because the confession opens the truth, but maturity decides what happens after. Can they meet you honestly? Can they take accountability? Can you stay open without abandoning yourself? Can both people stop pretending long enough to face what this connection actually is? That is the real question. Because the lovers is not just about feeling the bond, it is about choosing what to do with it. And the next cards are going to show whether this confession leads to reunion, release, or a choice neither of you can keep avoiding anymore.